Have you ever saved the life of someone who is supposed to be your enemy? Well, I did in the Israel Defense Forces. Shalom, everybody. We are in the Golan Heights, and with everything that we see happening on the on the Syrian side, just a few miles away from here, I wanted to share with you what I did here as a combat medic in the Israel Defense Forces. I saved with these hands lives of Syrian civilians that the army of Bashar al-Assad was targeting. They had a civil war, a very brutal civil war that started in 2011. And when I served here, the army deployed us to save lives of civilians. And let me tell you this, we would come to the border with our armored vehicles and ambulances. We would pick them up, the civilians. And to see the look that was on their faces. At first you see confused eyes. They don't really know what's going on, and maybe it's their first interaction with an Israeli soldier. I mean, their whole lives they've been told that we are the enemy, that we are monsters. And all of a sudden, help is coming from these monsters. So it was really interesting to see the interaction that we had with them. Basically, the way it worked is that we would come, pick the wounded civilians from the border, and we would drive until it's safe enough to distribute them between hospitals here in northern Israel. But during that ride where we save them and give them emergency care, because they all came, some of them without clothes, torn clothes, with some burns. And the first moments were very critical, because from fear, their face changed to gratitude, because they understood that we, the Israelis, are saving their lives, and that their president, the dictator Bashar al-Assad, is their enemy. And let me tell you something. On one of those night missions that we went to pick up wounded civilians, I saw this little child with his mother, that she was pregnant, and they didn't want to separate, and we kept them together. It was so amazing to see how they were hugging each other together. One of my buddies had a snack with him, so we handed it to the Syrian boy, and he at first hesitated, but then he took it and he gave him like a high five. It's really beautiful to see in these moments where the mainstream media is not there to report about it. But let me tell you something. They would come to Israel, we would pick them up, they had nothing with them. But after they had gone to the Israeli hospitals and received life-saving medical care from Israeli and Arab doctors here in northern Israel, once they recovered, we would take them back to the border to basically bring them back to Syria. When they came back, they came with all kinds of bags with them, Israeli snacks, bamba, beasley, all the kinds of snacks that we love. And it was really interesting to see how they come to us with nothing, and that we make sure that we host them properly and we send them back to their homes with humanitarian aid. Did you know that hundreds of Syrian children were born in Israeli hospitals? Israel treated thousands of Syrian civilians, and it sent 1,700 tons of food alongside other humanitarian aid that it distributed to the Syrian people. But just think about it. We were breaking the barrier, this title of enemies, by doing that, by extending a hand, not just for peace, but to help those in need. Because when we picked up the wounded Syrians, to us they weren't Syrians, they weren't Israeli, they were human beings, and we were saving lives of human beings. As a combat medic in the Israel Defense Forces, you take an oath to treat everybody, no matter who they are. And I'm sure that they will never forget that, because from thinking that we are the enemy, Israel showed them that we don't hate them. And I do hope that now with the fall of Bashar al-Assad, we will use this opportunity to build a bridge of peace, a lasting peace, because we were never meant to be enemies. So from here in Israel, I send a message of hope to see peace in Syria, between ourselves. And if you want to take a stand and help Israel, then share this video, share the truth. Let the world know what the media will not let them know, because together we have a strong voice. So let us use it to promote the truth.